What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to make this base. You guys seem to have liked it when I showed it off and did a massive horde on this thing. But the plan here is to make this as simple as possible for you guys to recreate this. So what you're going to want to do is you want to make a platform. It's going to be 3 tall and 7 by 7. Then, once you have that down, you place pillars on every other block, starting with the corner, of course. And you should end up with 4 pillars by 4 pillars. And of course you have the ones in the middle, and you want to make them 4 tall, okay? And when you're done these pillars, the very top of these pillars are actually the floor of the horde base that you're going to be sitting in. So you can feel free to just fill it in right now. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to dig out a little trench, okay? So we need to dig 4 down and 3 out all the way around this. Okay, so it should look like this once you're done cutting this all out. So here's your time to decide if you want to completely fill this in with concrete, steel, or whatever else you want. It's completely up to you. Just for the demonstration, I'm only going to be doing the edges, that way it looks correct. But just know, if I were to build this for survival, I would be filling it in completely. Just because I just wouldn't be able to live with that, you know? Okay, now that we have all that done, we're going to just pretend that I completely filled in the middle. What we're going to do is we're also going to fill in the floor. We dug out just enough so we can add a floor here. And on top of that, we're going to be adding a wall. So yeah, we're just going to fill that in now. Okay, so I have it all filled in. Okay, so now I have it all filled in. We only have 2 blocks spaced out and the wall is 3 tall. But now we're going to make it 6 tall. We're going to make it come up to the height of this foundation that we made, all the way around. And once you've done that, it's officially time for you to choose which side of the base is going to be the front. Because up until this point, it didn't matter. Everything is exactly the same. So I'm going to be choosing this way. Same exact direction that this base went into. So what you're going to do is you're going to make some pillars, bring it up to the foundation height, the place where you would stand, and just like that. Now you can just connect it to the base, and there you go. This is basically where you'll be standing. However, I did want to mention, I didn't do it over here, but what you can do is exactly what we just did over here with the pillars and how we're going to make it come out more. You can do that on every single side of this. So you can make this room way bigger, and that would be really useful if you wanted to use this as your main base, put a bunch of forges and loot boxes and stuff like that in there. So that's completely up to you. It would work out completely fine. I just like how this looks. You do what you want to do, you know? So what I like to do is I like to add a little lip all the way around the little platform that we just made, and it goes out on the front too. This way, when things come up to your window, and they'll be pretty much where I'm at right now, they fall, they'll have no chance of getting onto this wall. Which reminds me, we need to do something real quick. Now that we have that up, we're going to go over here, we're going to go into our blocks, we're going to choose a ramp, and we're going to go to the 2 corners in the very back of the base where this is not facing. And we're going to make a ramp that goes all the way down to the ground. This is just a very big backup, okay? If somehow a zombie gets in here, they will have the option to leave. I suppose you could just use a ladder too if you really wanted to, but I like the ramp. I think it looks cool. Now for the window. I had mine only 3 wide. I really like a 3 window, like a 3 by 3, but I know some other people that like really wide windows and whatnot. That's completely up to you. I'm going to show you how I did it. So we're just going to make a quick 3 by 3 just like this. We're going to go into our blocks again. We got the scaffolding ladder. It's on the bottom left of the screen. We want it to face out just like this. That way it's kind of flush with the edge. Then we come over here. We go into our windows section. We go here. And I was using the 1/2 thin windows and the window arches if you want to. And we're just going to put them just like this. I think that looks super cool. We can just fill in the rest of the wall too if you want. I added a bunch of windows on each side. You're going to want the roof to be scaffolding though, and then you want to put spikes on top, unless you want to go for like turrets or something. So this is how I have it. We're also going to go into advanced, and we want to turn these sideways. Again, you don't even need to do this. I did this because I thought it looked cool, so it's completely up to you. However, I do like these windows for the actual horde window itself, because cops cannot spit through this. A lot of people believe that this stops all cop spit, but it can go through. It's super unlucky if it does, but it's very possible if they just happen to pixel perfect hit directly in the middle, it can go through. However, these windows will not allow that. So I always like to throw these windows up right behind the scaffolding. Then you're completely safe. So there we go. We got the wall up. I went one too many. Just like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and wall this in. I don't care about the windows. You might. So feel free to do your own design here. You can see what I've done over here is I added a ramp on the side so it's not a box. And then I go up, and I actually made the wall 4 tall, and we just did a box with the ramp corners, of course, and I added windows on each side. You would add your door right here, by the way, unless you decide to put a hatch up here. That's completely up to you, but this is how I did it. Feel free to take inspiration from this, but just for this video, I'm just going to be making it into a box. I'm not looking to make this thing pretty. I'll show you guys how you can make it pretty. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna just make it functional, you know? That's the idea behind it. So now we have our little box. I am gonna do what I did over there. I think that this just looks better. And I used upside down ramps, just like this. I'm gonna place them all along the corners. Then we're gonna go into here. We're gonna grab a corner ramp, the ramp inside corner full, and we're gonna connect these 2 ramps together. It does make it look pretty cool. However, I will admit it's kind of annoying to get these correct. But I did it. Then we're going to go back to the scaffolding. Of course, go into advanced. And we're going to place it for the roof. This should block most of the bird spit. But also allow you to shoot and, if you want to, melee out of it. So, I highly recommend these for the roof. Although, if you really wanted to, you could put like a turret upstairs. Or if you just didn't want to see it and trust that your spikes will do everything, you can completely fill this in if you want. Okay, well, there we go. That is the main part where you would stand. Completely done. Okay, so when you're done, you're going to want to dig out 11 blocks. Basically, it comes right up to this corner right here, so you don't actually dig down right here. But it comes up to right here. Then you want that to come out 7. The reason for those numbers is that we're going to add 3 blade traps right in the front. And then we're going to have another set of blade traps right in front of it. And we're going to be able to encase it in concrete. That's the whole idea behind this. If you don't want to encase it with concrete for whatever reason, you can just make this 9 by 6 instead of 11 by 7, okay? But I'm going to be encasing it with concrete. But that's just me. This is the hardest part of this base, is just digging out all this. But it's a lot easier on creative mode. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, you can bring this all the way down to bedrock. That might not be the case if you're building this on a mountain. I wouldn't recommend you build it on a mountain. I am on my single player world, but that's completely up to you. If you do it at regular ground level, you'll be completely fine to go all the way down to bedrock. Okay, so I'm gonna dig out this hole and I will be right back. Okay, so I dug out the hole. Now that I have it all dug out, I'm also gonna dig out directly under this. We're just gonna connect this wall all the way down to the bedrock. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, so I dug that out as well. We can just go all the way around just like this, and we can fill all these blocks that I just placed all the way down to bedrock, including under this wall, of course. And down here, you're going to want to leave room for a door, okay? So a 3x3 door. If you want to make this door even taller, you can feel free to do so. However, I'm going to be adding traps with 1 block just like this. If you want to make it too tall, you totally can. It's definitely going to get hit, but that's completely up to you. So yeah, let me fill this in, and then I'll be right back. I just wanted to mention while you're doing this, if you plan on adding the electric fences and stuff, you might want to leave these blocks untouched. It will make it a lot easier to hook up all the electric fences and whatnot. Same thing for when I start filling in this little corridor right here, because good luck trying to wire these up if you have these blocks placed as is. And I use arrow slits. You can just go into here, type in arrow slits, go to this right here, the little square thing. I like to use arrow slits. They're probably not even the best, but I just like how they look. And the wire goes right between them. But I think they're actually worse at doing what I want them to do, because if you were just to place a regular block just like this in front, the electric fences and whatnot would take less damage. Because if an explosion hits directly in front of the arrow slits, it can go through. And also if you happen to like whip a nade perfectly in between one. So yeah, that's really good to keep in mind. I just wanted to mention that I doubt anybody is following this along to build this exactly how I'm doing it, but I want to make sure that you're able to actually do this stuff and not have to waste blocks. So yeah, I'm going to continue to fill this in, and then I'll be right back, sorry. Okay, so I have it all filled in. Remember that this is 9 by 6 after we completely did the walls, okay? Now we're going to go back to the door. Remember, you want it to be going the same way that your base was going, okay? So the very front of the base. So this being the first block, we want to go 7 this way. Okay, so we went 7 that way. The reason why we did that is so that we could have 2 blade traps on the roof and the floor if you want. Then we're able to place a ladder right here at the very end. That's what the 7th block is for. So at the 7th block, you want to dig all the way up, all the way to the surface. Okay, so now I have a hole that goes all the way up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to completely encase this just like we did with this and make this all concrete. That way there isn't any stone laying around. And again, same thing like we did with this right here. If you're going to add some sort of electric traps, you can leave the bottom 2 and just do the frame. So it would be like that, but that's completely up to you if you plan on adding all that. So it would be like this. I will show you how to add the electric traps and make the little pathway for them, but we got to do some other stuff before we worry about that. Okay, so I have it all the way up to the top. Now we're ready to just place some ladders. I really like these ladder squares, and of course, because we're not just actually making ladders, they come concrete. They don't require any metal to upgrade. You can still make them into steel. I personally like these a lot. So we're just gonna do this all the way up to the very top. And there we go. So now we have the hole done. And if they fall in the hole, they're able to come right back up. So now it is time to actually add this. Now I don't think that this front part here is actually necessary. However, I do just like it a lot. It might not even be good to have. I'm not gonna lie to you. It might just be more in the way than actually being good, but feel free to add it. It's really simple. All it is just 3 of these blocks like this with a ramp, another regular block, a ramp, and then 2 more regular blocks. And then of course a ramp here. Same thing with this side, of course. I'm gonna leave it out just for today. That way it makes it easier to see. But if you want to add this right here, it would be at the very top of this, but that's completely up to you. Okay. So what we are going to do is we're just going to fill this in with concrete and connect it. We do not want any of this standing on sand. We're going to just do a big square for now. We might have to add more later in or remove some. I just want to mention that it's going to be a bit annoying for me just because of where I'm building. You can see that this, even though it's like 1 tall, is actually 2. So it's not quite flush, unfortunately, but I'll live with it. So I'm just going to fill this in, make a big square. Again, my goal isn't to make this look pretty. I'm just trying to make it functional. And this is definitely one way to do it. Okay, now that we have this done, we need to add this big wall. This is the important wall that we really need. And over here, all that we got to do is we make this wall go from this corner right here to this corner, and then we want it to be as tall as the roof of this space right here. Makes it really simple, just like that. We're gonna do the same thing on this side, and then we're gonna completely fill it in just like that. Now let's fill it in. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna see where the bottom of this, because we would normally be standing here, so we want the floor of where we're standing at, then bring it over to this block just like this, and we want 4 out. Okay, then we're going to connect that to the ground and do the same thing on this side. So now we have this. What we're going to do is we're going to frame this, just a doorway. We can do it just like that. That way there's a 3 wide gap right there. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, and sick. So what I did was I had a ramp just like this, and it was for the dogs. And I left a little door right under this thing just so zombies could walk through, because we're going to be placing the ladders here and here. So if they want to do that, you can. Again, if you don't add this little part in the back here, or I guess the front, you wouldn't need that door. But that's completely up to you. I think that this is stable enough as is. But again, you choose. Now, of course, we're going to want some ramps to go up And if you really wanted to, you could make this all ramps. Ramps are really good for dogs and whatnot. I like to have ladders too, but that's up to you. Also, while we're at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this all in with concrete as well, all the way up to this wall, just so the floor is all concrete. Okay, now that we got the floor, we're going to go and add our ladders right next to here, just like this. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side, and I recommend that you also add the ramp. Okay, we got the ramp. Throw the ladders on, and sick. Then when you have this set up, I recommend you place a block just like this, because if you're going to do the outer wall like I did over here and make it come out more, you don't want them to be able to just hop onto it. So this should stop that. If you really want to, you can make this come out another block, but I didn't need to, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I'm going to do that on both sides. Then when I had that, I also did the same thing for right here. This is less necessary, but I added traps in between here. So if you want to do that, I recommend doing that as well. Okay, and we're just going to fill it in on the roof as well. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to come over here. We got to make the main horde mechanic. What I did was make it come out too, and then just like this, and then I encased it completely. And that's what I'm going to do here. And then we have an extra block just for here. Then what you can do is you can encase this entire thing just like this, and if you want to fill it in, feel free to do that. However, just like the middle part, pretend that I did, but I'm actually not going to because I'm lazy. Encase this entire thing, okay? All the way up to the wall, and then underneath it, you're going to want to fill it in as well. That way, if you hit anything into it, they'll just continue to slide down to the abyss. And of course, you want to bring it up to the same height as all this other stuff. So it should look like this. Now do the same thing for this side as well. You could add some more traps inside of here as well. A lot of them are going to be falling pretty much right here-ish. So you could have a ton of electric traps in these walls going all the way down, and they could just start falling into them. That seems a bit unnecessary to me, and a lot of the time they won't even hit them. They have to like hit the wire to actually do that, but it's an option. Feel free to do that. There is room to do that. So if you want to, go ahead. It's almost done. It's almost a horde base. So you're going to want to come over to these poles over here. Now, don't quote me on this. I believe these small poles still completely work. I'm mostly sure of it, like 99%. But I really like these 0.025M ones. And you want to find the center pillar, just like this one right here. And then you want to make sure it's going the right way. Yeah, up and down. You can start like this. Just go all the way across. There you go. Now go to this window and then do this. And I like to add one in the corner, one right there. Oh, I messed up. Put one below. Do not recommend. They're all floating. Zombies do consider it as a path. It should be fine. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I was supposed to completely encase this. My bad. It should look like this. There you go. Okay, so if you wanted to, at this point, you could use it as a horde base. It would work. Actually really darn well, by the way. As long as you made an actual entrance to the base. I do recommend you putting the spikes up here, of course. But you could use this as a horde base right now. However, I want to show you what I did to wire up the traps all the way down there. It's really simple. What I had was just two banks, one like this, one like this. Now, if you want to do something cool, you can actually add like plates. Go over to the square tab right here. You can see there's a bunch of plates right here, and you can use advanced, and I really like to make these so you place a plate like that and then a plate like that, then you can place a vault door on top just like that, so then it's completely covered. You won't need it, but I really like doing this for all mine. That is completely up to you, and if you really wanted to and you wanted to add like these banks completely next to each other, you can just extend this plate going all the way out and then have this one, you know, here. And you can place like a bunch of these or actual vault doors and not hatches. Do what you want to do. But for this base that we're using right now, I only needed 2 of these generator banks. It powered the entire base over there. Obviously, if you want to add more, it might need more, but for what I'm doing, we won't need it. We will need relays and wiring tools. So what I did to get my power all the way down and make it safe is I went directly to the middle of my foundation here, and I just dropped it all the way down to bedrock. just like that. And then I encased this entire thing in concrete. That way there wasn't like sand around here and it was all just concrete going all the way down. I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy right now, but just know that if I were you, I would be doing that. And when I hooked it up, what I did was this generator right here, I placed a bunch of relays going down like this, and I knew that this generator was only hooking up to relays that were on this side of the wall. And then for this side of the wall, I placed some as well for the other generator, and I knew that these relays were connected to this side because they were pointed this direction, you know? Also, assuming that you're not doing creative mode and whatnot, if you want to be able to use like a ladder all the way down and have like way better access to this, you can just do another block all the way down and then have like ladders that go all the way down. But anyway, you go all the way down just like this. This should be at bedrock. It is. Then you can just go all the way this way towards this wall right here. What I recommend doing is actually putting another layer of concrete or steel, whatever you want, right behind this layer. That way, if a demo happens to go off and set off right here, it will be more protected. However, if a demo blows this up, I'm just going to show you, right? If a demo blows up and just starts like knocking out this, see, like he did all this damage, the base is completely fine. Okay, so just don't worry about that. I just like to have the extra coverage here, so, but do what you want to do, you know? The base is weirdly sturdy for how much it has to be in the air. It's pretty sturdy. So yeah, anyway, you would just dig over here and then you can just follow this along the concrete walls that you placed. And there's a screamer. Hold on. And it's dead. So yeah, you just follow the wall. You go all the way to like here, and the fences would be right here, which I'm just going to grab a whole bunch of fences real quick. And you also want to make it one extra deep, just like that, so you can walk behind the fences, which we're going to do over here as well. That way we can come over here and repair them throughout the night. We're just going to add the fences real quick. Now, you can see what I did over here is not good. I just placed the fences on top of the fences, so this wire is actually like above my head or nearly at my head. You want to hang them upside down, just like this. That way, the two wires are almost on each other. They're almost touching. That way, both of them will work at waist level. Okay, we're just going to fill up the rest, just like this. And as you can see, you can just come over here and you can wire it just like that. It's that easy, which I'll show you, by the way, the wire that I was talking about. See, they're that close. It's so worth it. I recommend doing that. But yeah, I'm going to go over here to just show you what I did because I don't really need to redo it now. This is exactly what I was showing you. So as you can see, they're all wired up. We have two pathways on each side. This side to the right here goes to all these fences. And then it was also doing all the blade traps here, by the way. One power bank was able to do all this, okay? We're going to go over here real quick just to show you because I didn't add any blade traps. This is how we're going to add blade traps. So imagine, right? This is the wall. This is the wall. We had a blade trap here, a blade trap here, and there. And then we have another row just in front. And then because how we set it up, we have one here, and you can keep it like this. However, I like to add a block just like this. And then you can hang them just like that. And bam, this supports 10. So yeah, one power bank will completely generate enough for this entire section right here. And then another power bank will generate this section. You do exactly what I showed you right here, just over here with a bunch of fences over here. And on each side, what I did is I just followed the wall all the way over to these fences and of course dug it out with one block behind it. That way I could get behind them and repair them. You do the same thing on this side, and that's how I did it. Eventually, it'll look like this. I had some walls in the back, made the entire roof concrete and the walls and stuff like that. The same exact method goes all the way up to our base. Other than that, the only other traps that I have connected is right here, which I'll show you just how to add real quick over here. You go to this block right where the stairs and the ladder connects to, and we just connect these two just like that. And I did the same thing up here. I just made this and I dropped this down a block as well, just so we could hang these upside down just like this. So now we have 4 on each of these. And then you come over here and you can just place 2 like that. And this wall is kind of weird. If you have these, you can actually just make these upside down just like this without having to have an actual block above it. So you do that on both sides. And then powering these are actually kind of tricky. I would recommend like breaking 2 of these blocks or so, the ones that are like closest to your base, and you probably need to do it over here as well. By the way, if you do this once, you'll never have to do it again unless something really bad happens and destroys these, but they won't break on their own. They'll just get damaged. And I recommend using a relay and connecting the power to these first, and then going back and connecting it to these. If the power goes into these first and then back into these, you can just repair these. These are the ones that will get damaged. So during the horde night, you can just sit there and repair it as they get damaged. You want to do one of these sides on one of these power banks, and then the other sides on the other power banks. You will have just enough power to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much all the wiring. If you want to add more, I would highly recommend coming down here, maybe pushing these fences back and then adding dart traps right in front of them where these are right now. You could totally add dart traps. However, that would be really expensive and probably not that worth it. Dart traps over here could also be really cool, maybe just for like the 3x3. There's a whole bunch of things you could do. But now that we have all that wired up, I figured I should just show you how to finish off the base. It's really simple. You take this wall right here. You want to bring that up 3. Same thing on this side, just like that. Then you want to fill this in so you can see it comes out 3 from this block right here. I mean, I guess you could make this hollow a bit if you really wanted to. But yeah, you just want to bring this out 3. And then go all the way around this wall and do the same thing on this side. It will connect right up with that. Once you're done that, what you'll have is this thing, but very bare bones. As you can see, no colors, no extra decorations. If you want to know how to do these decorations, I'm super happy to tell you. I love to do them. All that you do, hold on, I can just show you even better. So these 2 blocks right here, that's a ramp right there. Then we do an upside down ramp and then a normal ramp, okay? And then the next block over is a regular ramp. Then in front of it is a wedge that's placed like this. And then on top of that, we have a wedge that's placed like this. If you want to know exactly what it's called, it's in this basic menu. And it's just called wedge 60 tip. That's all the decorations on this thing, except for the corners, which this is just the ramp corner that I showed you before. And then we have this right here, which is like a little triangle thing that I think looks really cool on the edge, which you can find in the little wedge section right here in your blocks. It's called plate ramp corner 03. And I like to put these on that. I think it just looks really cool on the edges. And I did that for this entire thing. I did that for most of this. I didn't do it for this side because if you were to do that, it would clash with this and it would also give them a way to path up. In the very front here, I added scaffolding. However, I would recommend adding like a door, maybe a hatch up here. That way you could get in and out. I would just place ladders right here and then a hatch right here-ish. That would work perfectly. And yeah, the rest is for decoration. This thing, you really don't need it. However, if you do want to use it, I removed the decoration on the very top. You can see exactly how I did it. Hold on, minus that block. This is exactly how I did it, guys. You can see the shape. And right here where the ladders come up, I also placed ramps right here, just to kind of scoot them out easier. Although it's completely unnecessary. I just like it. And you can see the doors connect right up to it. So that's why we have the doors under here. Again, if you don't add this, you don't need the doors. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. I just gotta remind you, spikes. Very important, very nice to have. Highly recommend them. And I did that wedge and ramp combination on the outside of this wall. So you can see I filled it in. I brought it out all the way to this, just like I showed you to do over there. And then I added those ramps and wedges along the outside, of course, with the same corners I just showed you how to make, all the way around. Then we have some ramps that are cornered off to meet up with this wall right here. it just makes it look a little bit cooler. And on the very top, I added scaffolding here. Completely unnecessary. This will not help you. It's just decoration. But feel free to use it, you know? Okay, guys. Well, hopefully this helped at least one of you. Some of you did ask for the tutorial, and this was honestly my first tutorial on how to build a full-fledged base. I'm sure if I do this again, maybe I can do it a little bit better, but hopefully it was at least possible to follow, and I'm really sorry if I failed on that. But if you want to see it in action, I did make an entire video on it. I'll put it in the description if you want to see me take on a 128 horde in this base. It was just practically AFK. So yeah, thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you next time.